Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for joining this session at the WorldSkills conference, which I think we can all agree has been an absolutely astounding success so far. We're here to unveil PISA-VET, the PISA-VET initiative. My name's Duncan Crawford. I'm the Senior Content Manager at the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And I imagine most of you, or some of you at least, are familiar with the OECD's PISA tests, which assess the skills of 15-year-olds in maths, reading, and science around the world. What is PISA-VET? Well, it's essentially an expansion of the PISA program, which will allow the OECD to rate how people are doing in vocational education and training programs. So people who want to become electricians, nursing assistants, car mechanics, these kinds of professions are what we are talking about. And the aim of it is to ensure that policymakers then have the information to know what makes vocational education and training schemes the quality for them, to make sure they're most effective. It is still in development, so what you're going to be hearing today is very much hot off the press, so do feel free to share it with everyone else in the conference. And it's being developed by the OECD, by ETS, by WorldSkills, and a number of other stakeholders, including participating countries and employers. And we have representatives of all of those on our panel today. So with that introduction, I think that's enough from me. We're going to start, and I'll introduce the panel for you. Joining us on the panel today, to my left, it's former French Labour Minister and the former ambassador to the OECD, Muriel Pénicaud. Elisa Mohamedou, the head of the OECD's Centre for Skills. The CEO of WorldSkills International, David Hoey. Florence Bertaux, the deputy CEO for FANUC France, one of the largest makers of industrial robots in the world. Lydia Liu, Associate Vice President in Research at ETS, a private educational assessment organization. And last over there, but certainly not least, Hector Bombilla, who is the WorldSkills and PISA-VET Colombian National Coordinator. Thank you to everyone on our panel for joining us today. To kick things off, this is obviously being held in France, in the city of Lyon, and this event here has had the support of France at the very highest level. So we're going to kick things off with the former French Labour Minister, Muriel Pénicaud. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad here to be to share with you some thoughts at the moment where the WorldSkills are in France, in Lyon. And I can tell you that it's a year of 3 Olympics, and the third are not the last. It's WorldSkills. I would like to share some thoughts with you on the context in which PISA-VET can develop. It's very important, before we go in more in details, to share the fact that we are at a phase where the transformation of the world of work is accelerating a lot. So all of us, policymakers, business people, education people, we all know that the labor market is transforming all the time. We are saying that in years and years and decades. But what's new is the scale and speed of change which are ahead. Because 4 waves are coming, and together they can become a tsunami. The first wave is obviously artificial intelligence, AI. The second is the green transition. The third transformation is the demographic transformation, with globally the North aging very quickly and the South being much younger, with a lot of need of education and a lot of social support depending where you are, and with a debalancing of offer and demand in labor market. And the fourth one that we can see everywhere in the world is clearly also the change of relation to work, especially in young generation. And we have to introduce that in the way we educate, we train all along the life, and how we are going to prepare the next generation to invent tomorrow. The size, we know, without entering in detail on green and AI transformation, I think we will have a lot of examples already in the skills of today, but it's just a beginning. The size is huge because when you see international organizations or experts, economic experts, more or less everyone agrees to say that in the coming 10 years, it's at least 50% of the jobs in the world that will be created, destroyed, or transformed. The biggest part is transformed. But when you want to prepare the next generation with the skills of tomorrow for the economy of tomorrow, you know already that a big part doesn't exist today. What they are going to do in 10 or 20 years doesn't exist today. So it's a way also of revolutioning the way we educate to prepare them to invent the future. And the size of that also have been very well measured by the OECD. Since 35 years, the OECD measure every year the length of validity of the professional skills that you learn in your first education. 35 years ago, basically what we are learning as professional skills will last 30 years in average. So it means more or less the professional life plus some adaptations. Today, the same studies that have been done every year by the OECD says in average, professional skills last 2 years. 2 years. And we are at the core of the debate because we need to prepare educational system and skills for context that we don't know yet. But they are fundamentals, I say. But it means also that what we call soft skills, including curiosity, ability to learn, ability to challenge, teamwork, and all the soft skills will be a very big part also of the professional skills. It doesn't mean that what they learn today, demonstrate today, the young people, is not valid tomorrow, but a big part will be transformed all the time. So how we have education system and policies and training system all along the lives that allows this transformation, not leaving behind a big part of yours. And it's why I'm very excited about this initiative about PISA-VET, even if I think we all realize it's not easy, but because it's even more important. You don't make progress if you don't measure, and comparing helps a lot. The equation is to measure plus to compare means to make progress, to improve. And that's why it's very important. PISA has shown the way, and PISA-VET is a new challenge with different challenges, because a lot of educational systems are different, but in the professional also, in the technical and professional skills, a lot of programs are different depending on countries, and they are moving. So it's a moving target. But that's an interesting challenge. It's not because it's easy that it's not a good challenge. It's an excellent challenge. But it's clear that the work between policymakers, business community, education community will be key, of course, to assess these skills, the assessment part, but also to assess and build more or less in the same time. So I think the impact tomorrow of PISA-VET can be very big, very useful for business, for policymakers, but also will help some professional mobility for young people. There's a desire, there's a will of mobility, but very often qualifications are not at all recognized in the other countries. The systems are different, and we even don't compare, so we don't know where to put them. And so it will be also more freedom for young people to be able to benefit of international mobility. So the challenge is big, and I think now we are all very interested to know how to do it. But again, let's say that we need to measure something with a moving target. It's a new challenge. I'm sure all together we can do it, but a little work to do.
Thank you for those thoughts, and I'm sure many on the panel are agreeing with what you're saying. We're now going to hand over to Elisa Mohamedou from the OEC's Centre for Skills. She's the head of that department, and she's going to give a presentation.
Thank you, Duncan, and thank you, Minister. I'm going to take you through a very quick presentation. I have about 5 minutes, so bear with me if I go fast, but the whole team is here to also answer any questions you may have. So if I can have the slides up, I'll take you through why we're doing it, how we plan to do it, and what we intend to do. So whenever you're ready, let me know. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So, can you press? Thank you very much. So first question is why we're doing this. So we're doing it because we need the data. And for some of you who are working on vocational education and training, you know we have very little data. We have data on enrollment, on qualifications, and some data on labor market outcomes. So what we want to do with PISA-VET is to fill that data gap. We intend to look into comparing skill levels in VET programs across countries who will be part of this program. We intend to look into the differences in learner characteristics and really look into what makes a successful VET program. This is important for policymakers, for, of course, gaining insights. We very much believe in the OECD that comparing data across countries helps build the most efficient program, so that's what we're wanting to do. The benefits for employers as well, so that the programs that are developed are aligned with their needs that are changing, as the minister just mentioned. And of course, facilitate, and I think the column that is missing here is benefits for the students themselves, because what we're intending to do is, of course, to facilitate mobility across as well countries and programs. And that's one area where across the data that we have, mobility of VET students, it's much lower than mobility of general education students. So if we can go to the next slide. Okay, great. So one back, please. Thank you. So who are we intending to assess? Students in the last 6 months of their initial VET program. And so we have selected 5 areas at the moment. This is in the pilot phase. We've chosen those based on the insights and expertise of about 100 experts. We've looked into, of course, having different skills complexity across those, but also gender representation across those occupations. We are going to assess the occupation-specific, the technical skills, but also the employability skills as well. And we've designed already the background questionnaire. You can, there's also the system-level data that we're looking into, and of course, background questionnaires as well. The assessment is expected to take place within a 3 to 4 hours window. We're still developing the instruments around this, but and it will be not a pen and paper and pencil type of assessment. I'll take you through that very quickly. So next slide, please, because I don't think the clicker is... So we have a framework that we launched in March of this year. The framework is available that you can download freely. And it goes really into the details of the occupational areas, the type of skills we want to cover, and the questions I mentioned. I have to warn you that the framework is about 350 pages. So if you don't have the time or the patience to go through it, there's also a webinar where we take you through some of the details of this. Next slide, please. So for each of the occupational area, you will see in the framework, we define the domain or occupation. So for instance, the example here of automotive technicians, we're looking into what the servicing, overhauling, and troubleshooting light vehicles. The context is the skills within a workshop. We look into the capabilities that we would be assessing, and the skills are around investigative capability and rectification capability. And this is done for each of the occupational areas. So we define exactly what we intend to do, and then the reporting results would be the proficiency levels on those skills based on a numerical scale. So next slide, please. In addition to these very occupational specific skills, what we want to look at is, of course, the employability skills. It's really to ensure that also we assess VET students around those. And we are looking, of course, at literacy, problem solving, task performance, and collaboration. We're building on existing assessment processes. We're not reinventing the wheel. So in the next slide, please, you can see that we are working with ASCOT and ASCOT Plus in Germany. We're working with WorldSkills, which is really, really taking us one step forward, a leap forward, if you will, because we're building on how they measure and how they assess skills. And we're working as well with ETS, of course, to develop this assessment as well. Next slide, please. So this is not, this is going to be looking at how we assess skills differently than how we've been doing it at the OECD so far. So there's one part which is the knowledge assessment, so very much the typical PISA type of assessment that we built on. And then we're looking into an interactive simulation of workplace tasks. And then the third type is the demonstration of tasks in front of a jury. So very much close to what you see here within WorldSkills, but adapted to the time frame that we have and the skills that we look into. And next slide, please. So as the former minister mentioned, of course, this is a very complex and project that we're looking at over a longer time frame. We're currently in the development phase where we're developing the methodological study, the instrument. We hope to be able to go into the pilot phase then very soon in 2026, but already on a smaller scale next year already. And then hopefully the larger scale phase from 2030 onwards, which is for us really around the corner. Next slide, please. Now, we already have 14 participating countries, so a really large range of different types of countries. We're working with, we have a working party on the international VET assessment. We have this expert group that I mentioned, really building on the expertise of more than 100 experts worldwide. We have social partners, very important for us to have the employers, the trade union representatives, and of course, the partners that I just mentioned. So of course, ASCAT Plus, WorldSkills at the forefront with us, but also UNESCO, ILO, the World Bank, the European Training Foundation, CEDEFOP, and other foundations, so that we really build on the expertise that is out there and take this forward on the next slide. So employers, of course, are extremely important for us to validate the type of assessment we'll be doing to make sure that it is relevant for them, it is applicable as well. So we are discussing with a number of employers, very important for us. They're part of the expertise, they're part of the funding mechanism as well of this initiative. Next slide, and I think I'll skip this one and go directly to the last one, which is really for us, it's not just about assessing. What we hope to do with this project is really to be able to elevate the vocational education and training by showing the breadth of skills that the VET students have worldwide, so that we move from assessment to valuing those skills. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Isa. I think everyone here now is looking forward to reading that 350-page framework document, no doubt. I'll hand over to David Hoey now, CEO of WorldSkills International. You've got a microphone down there on the table there, David, who's going. I want to ask you your reaction to seeing that, and what are your expectations for PISA-VET?
First of all, everyone, welcome, and it's great to see this partnership working. And what we see, PISA is such a time-honoured, well-respected program, and of course to see it working in VET is very appealing to us. To host it here at WorldSkills is wonderful, because out the back there you are seeing the world's biggest laboratory of skills excellence, and one of our great values is seeing how do we compare VET systems and how do we measure excellence. In a world that's VET's gone competency-based, you're either not yet competent and you're competent. How do you really measure the difference between competence and excellence? And that's what we've put together in our skills competitions over the years. So we've just brought on board this week our 89th member to WorldSkills International, and there's a massive contrast or spectrum within those systems. And so they vary in their readiness, they vary in their potential to meet the current and future skill challenges. One of our core aims is through skills competitions and all the interactions around it, and you've seen that as you walk around this venue, is to help raise the quality, the capacity and the capability of our member systems. And so PISA-VET to us is very attractive, because how do we scale up that measurement and make it available to everyone? Because not everyone is going to be able to run skills competitions like this every day of the week in their colleges. So how do we scale? And so we're very, very excited about the opportunities.
Very interesting, David. And if I have time for a quick follow-up for you, you mentioned assessing the difference between competence and excellence. What's the big difference, the big challenges when you're assessing vocational skills compared to, say, traditional PISA tests in maths and reading, for example?
Theory versus practice. And I think everything in vocational excellence is about the demonstratable excellence instead of the theoretical. And so everything we're doing is about when the person does it, how is it compared to excellence? So that's, to us, is the key piece.
Florence, Bertaux, the OECD is part other employer, part P initiative. Apologies if my volume's jumping up. You can all hear me. From your point of view, what's the benefit of PISA-VET for employers?
First, so just to be quick on FANUC, we are specialized in robotics, a worldwide company, probably one of the leaders worldwide in robotics and automation. And we are looking worldwide, I would say again, for robotics skilled people. And this is really a challenge for us. What the benefits we see first is that it will pull up the level of knowledge of the prospective employers. Well, at least it will harmonize the level of them. And I would say not, well, on a European scale and on a worldwide scale is very important, but I would say also first in a country scale, because we're still missing of comparison on our country, at least in France, which I know better.
Thank you for that. And your company is obviously a big employer. So to ask you a quick follow-up, what are the main skills that FANUC looks for when you're recruiting new employees?
Well, obviously, deep technical knowledge in robotics and in automation, but also in mechanics, electronics. It requires such kind of skills, but also soft skills. Obviously, what you talked before, we are looking for obviously relationship and ability of communication, but also in autonomy, I would say, because our people, technical people, even they have to face customer every day. So they have to be able to decide and to assess a situation and to make a decision. What do they have to do? So that's very important. This autonomy, and also what you said regarding curiosity and capability to learn, because if it lasts only 2 years, what they learned. So we really are looking for people able to learn and curious.
Thank you for that. And I saw Lucy Liu nodding at times there to what you were saying. From your perspective, what are the key aims that you want PISA-VET to achieve? What are you looking for?
I definitely want PISA-VET to drive improvements in a number of areas. At this point, there are at least 62 million students enrolling in a VET program, and VET systems have fueled remarkable growth in some countries, but have fallen short of expectations in others. When we look across the data, there is no scalable data that are available to enable governments and programs looking at how well their students are doing in a comparative sense. And there is also no effective data telling us what practice program design are associated with better VET learning outcomes. So with the PISA-VET initiative, we absolutely want to provide insights on how well our students are doing across country, across program, and identify the areas of strength and weaknesses and find opportunities for improvement. And as multiple panelists have mentioned, we want to attract young people to the VET program and to help them increase their awareness, like this is a line of study, line of work that they can go into. And another area is really to look at different learner backgrounds and characteristics and identify those associated with better learning. It also offers a great opportunity for peer learning, identify the practices that are more effective, and then think about how we can invest in those conditions to amplify them. And the last is really around the labor market outcomes, which is hugely important for our young students and their family to think about what kind of labor market outcomes are desirable and what are the conditions that contribute to them. And you also think about how to improve the alignment between educational offerings and labor market needs. And also, I would add that someone from the assessment world, I want the PISA-VET initiative to drive better awareness and better practice in assessment and really to provide insights and data to drive decision making.
When you said before that some countries are performing better at VET programs than others which are not performing as well, why do you think that is? What are the issues in some places?
I think a main issue is that, for example, policy supports and also the level of execution and also lack of mechanism to really do thorough evaluation and make decisions based on the results. It's an entire ecosystem that's needed for effective execution and evaluation of the VET systems. And we are not there yet, but PISA-VET would offer a great opportunity for us to close that gap.
Thanks for that. I saw Hector taking notes, so it's obviously landing some of your points. And Hector, you advise and promote VET initiatives in Colombia. What kind of vocational skills are most in demand over there?
Great, thanks for the question. I should start saying that El SENA, the institution I represent, is a public-based institution, public money, and we cover most of the PISA-VET or the TVET training in Colombia. About 75% of our young people that prepare in TVET in Colombia is accredited by El SENA, the National Training Service. So, and to the question, I have two answers. The first one would be to say that skills related to the peasant economy or the agrarian economy and the popular economy associated skills. Popular economy like small-scale businesses, informal economy, and so on. That's the first part of the answer. But the other is that I think any skill could serve the purpose of solving problems of any sector of the economy or of any nation. So then I would say that skills that answer to questions associated to or solve problems that comes from food sovereignty, for example, global warming or climate change. In our case, in the case of Colombia, if we have a skill that promotes or contributes, we should find a way, probably through the test projects or the way the skills is developed or promoted, it must contribute to the peace agreements, to the peace processes, to that kind of processes we are carry on, and also the ones that you mentioned before that I think are global challenges like technology or resource management associated to food energy and food sovereignty that I already mentioned.
Thank you so much for that. I'd like to move on and talk about some of the challenges of measuring professional skills, because it can be challenging, as it's already been outlined a little bit by David. Lydia Liu from ETS, if I can come back to you, because you're an assessment organization. ETS has partnered with the OECD to assess the skills of individuals for decades now. There are lots of challenges to doing international comparisons. So in what ways can PISA-VET work and build on this?
We are very fortunate to be a close partner to OECD. A long time ago, we were the inaugural partner on PIAC since 2012, and we ran the assessment for PISA in 2018 and 2022. I would say that the cornerstone of that partnership really lies in on the ETS side is our deep expertise in psychometrics, assessment development, and research expertise, and also our ability to execute and deliver assessment globally. Our plan is really to fully leverage the depth and the breadth of our capabilities. We view assessment as a very iterative process. We start from identifying the key knowledge, skills, and competencies that are important, and then think about coming up with an operational definition, how to define those skills, and then think about the test design blueprint, and then execute coming up with innovative item types, scoring, analysis, and score reporting. We're going to fully leverage the expertise we have in the assessment domain. I also want to point out that given the professional skills are unique and complex skills, we have a great opportunity to innovate. We can think about how to leverage a wide range of assessment formats, which was discussed earlier. For example, we're going to include interactive simulations, having the partnership with Ascot and Ascot Plus. We're going to introduce performance-based live assessment. I really look forward to our collaboration with WorldSkills International. And then we're also going to include employability skills, which include a range of durable skills. We know that we hire for technical skills and many times fire for softer skills. We want students to have effective communication. We want them to be able to collaborate in a group setting. We want them to be conscientious workers, because conscientiousness is the #1 predictor of job performance. We want them to have a range of skills that matter to the VET occupations. So we're going to leverage our existing capabilities, but also deeply committed to driving innovation.
Quick follow-up, just because it's something you mentioned I'm intrigued by. When you're creating new assessments, do you find that they usually work fine off the back, or are there lots of issues and you have to change them as you go?
Absolutely the latter. We have a long list of steps that we follow to make sure that any assessments we designed have the right technical standards and rigor, and also to ensure equity, fairness, validity issues are considered throughout the entire process. So with new assessment items, we typically do prototyping tests, and then we do pilot field tests. It really goes through many iterative process to make sure that the final operational version is valid, reliable.
Thanks for that. And someone else who's obviously got a lot of experience in assessing skills is David Hoey from WorldSkills. What lessons have you learnt about measuring skills that PISA-VET should consider?
I think you've got to look at the two together. So you've got OECD's PISA system and the WorldSkills vocational performance system. One, they're very complementary, and it's how to marry them together and scale them up. So when we look at what WorldSkills has done, and a lot of our work has really been done in the last 10 years, where we've taken on board, and I've got a list here, is that we've professionalised our assessment. And so what you see happening out there is, as we determine who is the world's best young craftsperson in their respective skill, trade or technology, there's quite a rigorous, robust assessment system behind it. So we use occupational standards, and obviously include the transversal skills, which is very much what employers want these days. Measurement and judgment. And when you look across different countries, different cultures, different education systems, that judgment is the one that could vary the most, so we've really tightened that up. Professional development for our designers and assessors, and that's one of the greatest paybacks to the experts who come here. It's what they learn from each other. They then take back to their national VET systems and promulgate that out through various methods. And then new technologies. One of the most important things is to keep up with industry and with new technologies, and that's where global partners come into it, and all the industry, because especially in this day and age, technology moves so quickly. So we all know they talk about the skills gap and all those things. How does the demand of industry be fed by the supply of education? And so all that gives us a parity of some type to be able to talk with the OECD and its partners, and a basis that gives us this continuous improvement process. We will learn a lot from the way that PISA has scaled it out across the world. And I guess to us, it's how do we help every education system in the world, because we have a great expression, a rising tide lifts all boats. And if we can get everyone starting to learn from each other, that whole benefit of VET for workplace learning will become a faster reality, especially for WorldSkills. I said our last 3 countries, Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and obviously the developing and emerging economies are coming to us to learn and fast-track their education systems.
Are there certain vocational skills where international comparisons are more relevant?
That's a very, we could stay here for hours on that one. But I think, to me personally, those where there are ISO standards across the world. So if you're talking about... Oh, we've lost the mic. We're back. Something like... nope. Yes? What's that one? Okay. If you probably noticed, we're here in the Paul Bocuse Centre, so this venue didn't exactly lend itself to conference centres, but these are the domes they use in the World Economic Forum for the last 5 years, so really neat little breakout, but obviously the sound has an issue. I think those skills that have ISO standards common across the world are a lot easier. Those, for example, cooking in one country to another country is very hard to compare. So to me, it's those that have a global set of standards that are the easiest ones. But I think the good thing is you, as we're doing, working with 4 or 5 skills, doing the methodology, doing the research and development, and then looking at the lessons learned and scaling it out.
Thanks for that. And is my mic working? I don't think it is.
I think we'll pass this way.
Hello, thanks, David. I was going to say I can probably do a cooking test, or I could just test for different food, and whichever tastes best, I can assess. I'm quite qualified in that way. Moving on, Florence Bertaux from FANUC. I'd like to get your opinion. Bring you back in. I'll have to hand you this mic. As an employer, how do you typically assess the professional skills of potential employees?
Well, I have to be honest. We're very good in technical, in robotics, in automation. I'm not sure we're very good in assessment. So we're trying to elaborate some small tests to put young people in situation, try to catch their ability and their capacity to do something. But really, I think we have a lot of... We've already learned a lot by joining WorldSkills, because we knew a lot, again, on our technology, but we had to work hard to assess and to think about how to assess correctly what we are asking the young to do. So I think we have also a lot to learn of PISA-VET and OECD. That's why we get involved in this project, because we really need some improvement in these kind of things. And I think that we were talking about occupational skill. I think maybe it's missing robotics and automation, but then this is the next step.
I'm taking a risk. It's working. To quickly follow up on that, how do you think PISA-VET data can complement what you're aiming for there?
Well, this is actually what I said. It's really, it's really because we rely on our schools and diploma, but actually, to be honest, there is some. It's not always a line between the diploma and the skills. So this is really what we can expect from a PISA-VET, I would say first.
Okay, thanks for that. Let me bring Hector Bombiello back in, and hopefully the microphones both work at the same time. What is the government of Colombia looking for when it comes to VET data?
Well, I think we learned the lesson from PISA test. We just got we were subject to this test implementation back, I think, 20 years ago. We did very well, and still we're struggling to get good results. Our countries are permanently being certificate, graded, ranking, and it's very relevant to us. So the government decided this is a good chance from the get-go to start to participate, to fully participate to the construction, development of the PISA-VET test, and we hope to start getting better results. And it's relevant because we are certain that if we participate from stage 0 or 1, or the beginning phase of this test, we will have a permanent feedback from the partners, and then we can start working towards quality and excellence in our training programs and curriculum. And since we have this a lot of years collaborating with WorldSkills, we could see that we won't be out of the blue or in cold just trying to get the implementation of this test.
Thanks for that. Are there particular vocational skills in Colombia where it is going quite well at the moment, or are there, on the other hand, certain ones where you think, no, these really need to improve, our training programs need to improve, and there's a lot to learn from other countries?
Yeah, well, essentially those that require top-of-the-notch technology, expensive machinery and investments from large companies, those are the ones that we are really always, not there. And the ones where we perform better are related to service, for example, and those that needs more hands-on, like landscape. What's the name of that one? Landscape gardening, for example. Bricklaying. Those are the ones that we, who have better chances. But eventually we get, this pop star competitor that really make it in those more electric, technological skills.
Okay, thanks for that. We're near the end of our time, so I'm going to get a final thought from a few of our panelists here. I might start with you, Lydia, if that's okay. Look how happy you are about that.
Yes. I'm really energized by this conversation. PISA-VET is going to be a remarkable effort, and it's going to require a lot of public-private partnership. We absolutely need partners on many fronts. We need technical experts so we can think about how to innovate the next generation assessments. We want a research partners so we can develop a very broad research agenda to look at the issues. We also need policy partners to make sure that the insights are leveraged the right way. And we also need financial supporters. We need funding to successfully execute this effort. So if you have any interest, please come to talk to us, and we would love to have a conversation to explore how your organization can be engaged. Thank you very much.
And I'll get a final thought from David Hoey, if that's okay. I'm intrigued to know what you think needs to happen to ensure that PISA-VET is a success.
Look, I think that we said it before, theory versus practice. It's the ability to scale it up. And what we're seeing here, and as Hector said, when Colombia joined about 10 years ago, we have seen, I've had the privilege of leading WorldSkills for 20 years now, and we have seen around the world the countries who join have been able to increase their performance through that benchmarking of excellence. And to me, it's all about how do we scale it. And we can't do that because we recognize the very few, like the Olympics here, and a system like PISA-VET can take it to all countries and make it accessible. And that's very exciting.
Thanks for that, David. So yeah, fingers crossed it does go up to the next level. And the last word to you, Muriel.
Thank you. A question and a remark. My question is how the practice is more difficult to assess, even from an organizational standpoint. So should we think about how AI could help, including countries where we don't have all the machines, to simulate, to be able to assess technical skills that we're not able to do it at the scale that we all aim? And my remark is that I started by saying that half the job, it means 1 billion jobs are going to change in the coming 10 years. So the challenge of vocational skills training and assessment, both together, is not just a nice thing for some educators and some employers. It becomes strategic for all the business community, all the education community, and in a way, all of us as parents, our grandparents, as citizens. So I think it's interesting because for this reason, I believe that many employers, many educators would be interested to contribute to this experiment and to make it a success. And it's absolutely needed to invent what PISA-VET will be tomorrow. So I think this discussion gives me hope.
Thank you. That's it from us. Thank you to all our panelists for their contributions today. There is huge scope for this project. PISA-VET could potentially help empower employees by helping to ensure their credentials are recognized internationally. So I think there's a huge hope for the future, as Muriel just said there. Thank you for attending. You can get more information on this by going onto your app on your phone, scrolling down to the bottom of the details of this session. You've got the PISA-VET brochure, the PISA-VET framework, all 350 pages. There'll be many more pages on the OECD website, which you can check out as well. There'll be updates for you to look at. And we are now going to have a partnership ceremony between WorldSkills International and the OECD. So you can stick around for that if you want to. If not, then please leave. We'll get that partnership ceremony underway in a few minutes' time. Thank you for coming.